angels, the wealthy place their bets on a fight to the death. Angel is forced to kill for his freedom.
No one fights, no one dies. I'll kill you quick.
An all-new Angel.
Hello and welcome to this week's edition of Slade, the Buffyverse Revisited. I'm one of your hosts. I'm Hal Jordan. And in brightest day and in blackest night, no evil shall escape my sight. Let those who worship evil's might beware my power. Green Lantern's light.
And I'm your other host, John Stewart.
Okay. All right, John. Thank you for having me on your program this week.
No, it's Green Lantern John Stewart.
Oh, by the time there was a John Stewart, I wasn't reading comics anymore.
Oh.
It was now John Stewart. I think they're on like the third or fourth guy now. Was John Stewart the African-American gentleman?
Yeah.
Okay, because he's the one that came after Hal. It was Hal, then him, and then I think they are on a different person now. But anyway, this isn't Marvel talk, or I'm sorry, DC talk. So, yeah. So, how are you doing, James? It's been ages since we've seen each other.
It has been. It's been, man, so long. Just how are things, dude? How are things?
Exactly the same. No change whatsoever.
You know what I thought about as the theme song was playing? Is that so a peek behind the curtain, not that many people that listen don't know this from previous conversations already. We record 2 weeks at a time. We record a Buffy episode and an Angel episode. The Buffy episode we just recorded and has already aired. We should have talked about C2E2 because that'll be dropping the Monday after I go to C2E2.
Yeah, but since we're not going to miss an episode or anything, we can talk about it now.
Right.
So
we could.
Tell us all about C2E2.
See, the illusion's ruined already. Everyone knows I haven't gone yet.
No, I know, but we can talk about it in the context of as you are going to C2E2.
I will be attending C2E2,
and tell us
by
again,
the time this episode drops, I will have already attended.
Right. Now tell us all again, for those who don't know, what does C2E2 stand for?
That is the Comics and Entertainment Expo.
Right, and it's held in
Chicago,
Illinois.
Yes, that is why it is C2E2, Chicago Comics and Entertainment Expo. 2 C's, 2 E's, C2E2.
And where they, in Chicago, as we know, is where they eat tacos with corn tortillas.
I don't like corn tortillas. I always get so much hate for that. I'm not a corn tortilla fan. I'm a flour tortilla guy.
Well, we do know from 70 some odd episodes now that you do have a strange palate. You do have I won't say strange. I'll just say it's different. It's unique. You have a unique palate. Like, you don't like hamburger.
I don't like any ground meat or poultry.
Right. So
yeah,
I would say that most people would say that's pretty different.
It's so not a lot of, but most of the foods I don't like, it's strictly texture based.
I'm the exact same.
I don't like the way it feels in my mouth.
I'm the exact same way, but ground beef or ground anything, sausage, whatever, that doesn't bother my texture touchiness.
Yeah, for some reason it does mine. Like, I like orange juice. I like orange flavored things. I will not eat an orange. I don't like the way it feels in my mouth.
Now, what about a ball sack? Is that okay in your mouth?
That's no.
Does that texture bother you?
It's not okay in my mouth.
Oh.
It's not about the texture. It's about just not wanting to have a ball sack in my mouth.
Oh, okay. So you're a gay hater.
No, not at all. Not at all. No, let's not start that.
Not even close. What are you drinking there? Does that say Dr. Dynamite?
That is Dr. Dynamite.
So that's the Chicago version of generic Dr. Pepper.
This is the Jewel brand.
Jewel brand?
Jewel brand, yep. Signature Select.
I've never heard of what's Jewel?
It's a grocery store.
Oh, okay. I'm surprised. Well, I mean, we're so close to each other. I'm surprised you have thing like that. There's a grocery store chain there that's not here. Is all you know.
I mean, like, do you guys have Kroger's?
Oh yeah, that's my main.
See, there's not a whole lot of Kroger's around me.
Oh, but I mean, there are Kroger's. They're just not that close to you.
Yeah, in fact, here, real quick, let me see where the closest Kroger is.
Mine is actually literally right across the street from my neighborhood. So since I've lived in this area, this is now 9 years. Yeah, that's been my main go-to store.
The closest Kroger to me is an hour away in Ottawa, Illinois.
Wow.
Yeah,
How big?
So
there's not even one. Well, okay, that makes sense. Wow, wow. So your chains close to you is called Jewel?
Jewel, yeah.
Jewel?
Jewel, yep. And most of them are combined with Osco Drug.
You guys still have Osco?
Yep.
I thought Osco went out of business because they closed all the Oscos here. Like it had to have been 2000, 2001.
Oh yeah,
because that was that was the drugstore that we always went to get our prescriptions or whatever. I mean, I think when they closed those, I don't even think there were any Walgreens around at that time. If you guys have Walgreens,
yeah, we have Walgreens, CVS, and
yes, yeah.
pretty much every Jewel here is a Jewel Osco.
Wow, and here I thought that it was. I think the original Osco probably did go under, and this Jewel place maybe just bought the brand name and
probably.
But wow, I didn't know. Not that anyone gives a flying fuck listening to this episode.
Yeah, we've also got so Dominic's used to be a big one around here. Those all folded. Cub Foods used to be big.
Cub Foods was where I grew up. Now, was your Cub Foods the type where you bagged your own groceries?
No. It was that way, but eventually, we started back. I worked. That was my first job. Was Cub Foods.
Oh wow! I had been going to Cub's Foods since I was probably 6, 7 years old, and they closed out. They went out of business around the same time that Osco did, around that like 2000.
I was working at Cub Food when I met you.
Well, I'll be fucked in the ass.
Yeah, I worked at Cub Food from. I started the summer before senior year of high school, so 99, and I worked there until.
Well, you knew me before that.
Yeah, so I knew you before I worked there.
I think you were, if I remember correctly, you were a sophomore in high school when I met you. Because I had just just graduated.
Yeah. Yeah, because that's about the time I got into Highlander, was sophomore year of high school, so that tracks. But yeah, so I worked at Cub Food from the summer of 99 till they got bought out by Strachan Van Til, which owned Ultra. At the time, they got bought out. Well, they didn't get bought out, so the parent company of Cub Food wanted to buy Albertsons, Jewel, the company that owned Jewel. And they were basically told, like, you can't, because you'd create a monopoly, because pretty much around here, anywhere there was a Jewel, there was a Cub Foods not far away. So they were like, you can't buy Albertsons, which owns Jewel, and still have Cub Foods. So they were like, all right. And they literally sold off Cub Foods to Strachan Van Til, who owned, they owned several chains. One of them was Ultra, which they wanted to bring into this area. And that was in 2006 is when they closed down, and I stopped working there. They wanted, so they offered us all our jobs. They're like, you can keep your job, but you have to reapply and we'll rehire you at starting pay.
And you're like, how about no?
Yeah, I was like, how about you go fuck yourself? Like, I've been here for almost 10 years at that point. And like I was making $22 an hour as like a 20 some odd year old kid. Like fuck that. Like, I'm not, I'll be damned if you're gonna bump me back to $8 an hour. Fuck you.
Right.
So,
hey,
but anyway,
in the 90s, did you guys have do you remember Farmore?
we did not have Farmore.
You did not have Farmore. Okay, well,
no.
We'll just leave that as it was, and let's steer ourselves back into why we're here. Which is
real quick though, do you guys have Tony's and Mariano's?
Nope.
No? Okay.
No. Where was I? Yeah. So steering us back to where we're supposed to be, which is revisiting Angel season 1, episode 16, The Cock Ring. I'm sorry, The Ring.
Wow. Yes, we are tap dancing into this episode, I believe, is what was stated last week.
Well, that was stated last week. This week we are frolicking into this episode.
Oh, we're frolicking into it. Okay.
Yes,
all
yes.
right. Would you like me to just dive into the dates and deets?
Yes, dive in. Awkwardly, like you're up there with the Olympians, but it's immediately apparent as soon as they blow the whistle and you dive that you're horrible. Like you belly flop, and then you're like splashing around like, oh my God, I can't even swim. What am I doing? Yeah.
Okay.
Give us the dates and deets that way.
Okay. As previously stated, we will be frolicking into Angel season. Oh God!
What am I even doing? I can't even.
What am I even doing?
And you're not swim. Even you're not even wearing like swimmer pair. You're wearing just regular clothes.
Yeah, I'm just wearing like my Bazinga shirt.
Yeah.
My jeans. As previously stated, we will be frolicking into Angel season 1, episode 16, our 16th episode of the series overall, The Ring. Our episode director this week is Nick Mark, and our episode credited writer is Howard Gordon. Our original air date was February 29th, 2000, on the now defunct WB network. Our Nielsen rating when this episode first aired was 3.6 million households, ranking it 85th out of the 128 network primetime shows for the week, and second out of the 15 primetime shows airing on the WB for the week.
Did you have a bone? Did the bone get? You had to swallow the bone.
I got a big air bubble. I was like, oh my God. Our regular cast, as always, includes David Boreanaz as Angel, Charisma Carpenter as Cordelia, and Alexis Denisoff as Wesley. Our guest stars this week include Marcus Redmond as Tom Cribb, Douglas Roberts as Darren, Scott William Winters as Jack, Stephanie Romanoff as Lila Morgan. I gave her last name. You know she's going to be important. Anthony Guadera as Ernie, Chris Flanders as Mr. Winslow, Mark Rose as Mellish, Juan A. Rojas as Val Trepkos, Michael Phillip as the announcer, and Mark Ginther as Lasovic. Our episode synopsis this week reads, Angel is forced to become a gladiator in a clandestine fight club, while Wesley and Cordelia try to infiltrate the operation to save him.
Oh, my.
Oh, my.
Mine reads, owners of an underground arena enslave Angel and pit him against powerful demons for entertainment.
No, it's stupid. I don't like it. I don't like yours.
Okay. I'm fine. I'm perfectly fine with that.
No, yours is fine. It's good. There's nothing wrong with it. Hold on.
No, it sucks.
Hold on. Okay, I'm back.
I don't know what we just witnessed, folks, but damn.
Sorry.
Yeah,
No.
You should be, frankly.
So we open. Oh no, I lost my notes now when I was sneezing. Oh, so we open on Cordelia and Wesley bickering about using a new demon database when Darren McNamara stumbles into Angel Investigations, telling them that his brother Jack was kidnapped the previous night by a group of people that weren't exactly people. And that's our cold open.
That is. And it's also the end of our episode. The credits roll.
Roll.
The closing right. Music plays.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
And the crazy thing is the show never came back.
It never came back.
That wasn't supposed to be the end, but it just was.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, we come back.
Talk about ending your series on a cliffhanger.
Right? When we come back, we just pick up the fucking in the exact same place in the exact same conversation. And he's telling him, that he wasn't really close with his brother, that he had made something of his life, but his brother hadn't. And I was like, wow, does that really need to be, you really need to be telling strangers this? Just be like, yo, my brother was kidnapped. Can you help find him? But he felt it necessary to say, yeah, my brother was a real fucking loser, unlike me. So he's like, yeah, so I had paid off some of his bookies in the past, and this time I told him to go to hell. And but then afterwards I felt guilty, so I went to his place, and that's where all this shit went down. These strange creatures were taking him, and did you already talk about the part where he gave him the box and it had a finger in it? Yeah, so he gives him this box and he's like, this was in my mailbox this morning, and it's a severed finger. And also Darren has been
roast beef up.
What?
Can you keep your porn down while we're
No.
Darren appears to have been beaten up.
Yes, I should have mentioned that. I should have mentioned that when I was doing the cold open.
He's got some pretty gnarly bruising and whatnot, and you're like, okay, so they beat him up and took his brother. Like, why didn't they just take them both? Or anyway, so
well, I kind of got the impression that they probably didn't take him because they figured he was going to be the one that ponied up the dough to pay his brother's debts to get him back.
Right. So wouldn't the smart thing to avoid all of this? Wouldn't the smart thing have been to be like, put a gun in that guy's mouth and be like, we're going to the bank. You're getting us this amount of money. Like, why go through all the hassle of kidnapping the brother? And
you probably don't want to walk into a bank with a gun in someone's mouth.
Well, no, you take him to the bank, say, oh man, and you've got his brother out in the car, and you say, if anything happens, we paint the fucking roof with your brother's brains. Go get us our fucking dough. But that'd be too smart. So Angel gives him a pad of paper, and he's like, here, write everything down that you remember. I'm going to go pay a visit to Bookie Bob. And, well, I should say his real name's Ernie, this bookie, which cracks me up. I'm like, really? We're going to give this bookies, we're going to name him Ernie? Like,
You know what?
His partner's name Bert?
This might be like weird to say, but I kind of like this bookie character.
I kind of do too. I'm like, you know what? He could be that guy that just every now and then maybe sells information to our heroes, and
he could be
he kind of rides the fence of he ain't a good guy, but he's not evil, you know.
He could have been Angel's Willie the Snitch.
Yeah, kind of, except balls. He has balls.
Right.
Like Willie the Snitch is just a little bitch, but
honestly, so you're getting ready to, I mean, you're kind of in the midst of it now, so I'll bring it up. They kind of, it almost feels like maybe they wanted to go in that direction, because at first you almost get the feeling that Angel and this guy already know each other.
Yeah, like I had this feeling that maybe they were former lovers.
Oh my God.
Because they snow. I'm not. No. No, it does seem like you're kind of like, do they have a history? Like,
right. Because it's not until
you quickly kind of realize they don't.
Right. Because then they eventually go outside, like, to talk, and this guy's like, who the hell are you anyway? But like prior to that, it is kind of like, do they maybe know each other? Do they have a history of some sort?
Yeah, because Angel walks in on this poker game where this Ernie's at, and he's like, won't you invite me to the game, Ernie? And Ernie's like, oh, fuck you over here, pal. And you know, Angel's like, blah, blah, blah. And he throws down these pictures of the kidnapped brother. And Ernie the bookie goes for his piece because bookies.
Right.
And Angel, of course, grabs his hand and holds it. And he's like, I'm not here for a fight. And Ernie the bookie's like, oh, okay. So he just gets up and goes out. So they go outside, and Angel's like, you know, where's he at? You know, and the bookie's like, well, I don't know. I didn't ask and they didn't tell. And he's like, yeah, but you have an idea. And Ernie goes to light a cigarette, and it looks like Angel's going to light it, but he actually slides up. He's like this, but he actually slides up, and it's got some fucking money. And the guy takes the money. He's like, well, there's this fucking place over here. He's like,
Did this, like, I watched this and I was like, what? Like, since when does an Angel just, like, throw people through a plate glass window to get information from them?
Just turn and do the vamp face and be like, so tell me where this guy is or I'm going to eat you.
Right, like, since when does he, like, pay for information? We're 16 episodes in. I've never seen him pay for information. I've seen him intimidate for information.
Wouldn't it have been
cooler? This is new.
If he was like, when he goes to, like, pretend like he's lighting the guy's cigarette and it's money, but instead he went like this and was like, where's he at, bitch?
Where's he at? Here, let me get that for you. Where the fuck is Jake? Or Jack, or whatever the fuck his name is.
Jack, who the fuck cares? But yeah, that would have been cooler. But the guy, he takes the money and tells him that there's this place over by, where does he say it's by? Somewhere, there's a specific
fuck, I can't remember.
City, town, whatever. Anyway, he says it's not actually there, it's under there. And we cut to Angel. Hang on. Beechwood Canyon. That's it.
Yes.
Beechwood Canyon, and Angel's like, he's like, but not actually Beechwood Canyon, underneath Beechwood Canyon. So then we cut to Cordy and Wes, who are now on the demon database, which is demons dot idiot. And with the information that Darren had written down on this pad of paper, they're entering it all in. He even wrote down what they smelled like. And that's actually a field to fill in on this database. So I'm just like, okay, I have to pretend like this isn't happening right now. Otherwise, I can't continue this episode. So she hits the search button and it's doing its thing. And Wesley's like, well, see, if we had just used some good old fashioned books, we would already have it. And she's like, got it. And of course the computer goes beep, because, you know, that's a thing computers have never done. But
what are you talking about? Every time I search Google for something, it goes beep when it finds it.
Letting you know.
I'm
beep.
like, oh.
Yeah.
Right.
So it beeps for her, and she's like, got it. And it is a howler demon, which are exactly the way this guy explained what they look like. And then we cut to Mr. Angel, who has arrived at Beechwood Canyon. And it's like he just goes up to the very first manhole he finds, and he and he just takes the cover off and just climbs down into the fucking old shitters of the city. And he walks around for a little bit underneath there with a flashlight, and sure as shit, he gets attacked by a bunch of howler demons. And so we have a big karate fight, and he's giving him all the kung fu grip, and he gets one up against the wall, and he's like, where is he? He turns into Christian Bale's Batman. And
the howler demon's like, I don't know, I swear. And Angel's all like, swear to me.
Swear to me. And the guy's like, I just did. And then Angel's
right.
like,
it's like,
fair enough. But yeah, he said they sold them. We sold Jack to. He's like, to who? But we kind of cut away. It doesn't say. We don't see where he says he sold them to. And I'm like, wait a minute. Wait a goddamn minute. This is becoming so fucking convoluted. Why hasn't Angel stopped and been like, wait a goddamn minute? This is becoming so convoluted. Like, this guy comes in, his brother's been kidnapped. I go to the bookie. The bookie says they're with these demons. Now, the demons are telling me they sold this motherfucker to whatever. Anyway. So, Angel drives to this rundown neighborhood. It's kind of like, it's like the outskirts of like a downtown area. I don't know if this is necessarily LA. I'm going to assume it's the outskirts of LA. Like,
I mean, it's a valid presumption.
Yeah. So, and he sees all these cars lined up outside of this kind of dumpy looking club, and like really expensive cars, and really like the people he's seeing going in there are like really well-dressed people. And he's like, nothing suspicious about this. Let me just walk right in there. So he spots this lounge bar area, and he sees this woman sitting alone, and she drops a ticket, and Angel picks it up and gives it to her, and she's like, and they have a little brief conversation. She's strange. We'll just put it that way for now. And he walks in. He basically kind of just follows along with the crowd, like where everybody's heading towards. And he ends up in this area where there's like a big pit below them. And he sees two demons down inside this ring. It's like a Colosseum from ancient Rome. Yeah. And he sees these two demons fighting, and the one's basically just housing the other one. And then he kind of KOs him, and then everybody starts chanting, killing blow, killing blow. I'm like, isn't that kind of complicated? Why can't you just say, kill him, like, killing blow, killing blow? It seems like a strange chant to get started amongst a crowd, but far be it from me. then some guy up above who appears to be some type of guard or whatnot tosses a knife down into the ring, and the winning demon picks it up and fucking slices the other guy's throat. And of course the crowd goes wild, and this demon's name is Tom Cribb, because the announcer announces, and the winner, Tom Cribb, and I'm like, really? He looks like Louis Gossett Jr. from Enemy Mine. This demon does, but his name is Tom Cribb. And the next demon up is Val Trepkos. And that's when Angel spots who but Jack, the missing brother. And he's just mingling in the crowd, and he's got like some goons with him, and he just goes back into this area through this curtain. And Angel's like, huh, now surely this isn't a setup. I will follow them now. Which he does. And he goes down this corridor, and then all of a sudden these big bright ass lights are turned on. And who's standing there but the brother he's looking for, and Darren, the other brother. It's all been a great ruse.
And their other brother Darren.
And their other brother Darren, right? And he's only got one tooth, and he's got a helmet on, and he's just shaking. So he's not all there.
Right. And Angel's like, what the hell's going on here? And Darren's like, well, you already know I'm Darren. This is my brother Jack. And it's my other brother Darren.
And then out of nowhere,
I don't. Do you think anybody else listening gets the joke?
No, even though we've made this joke before, I doubt they still did. Even though Bob Newhart wanders into the scene out of nowhere, and he just looks around and he's like, "Where the fuck am I?" And
like, where is Suzanne Plachette?
now, no one knows what the fuck we're talking, unless they're our age or older.
Right.
Let's see. So it's all been a ruse, and boy, oh boy, has this been a convoluted, ridiculous fucking ruse. But we will get into that later. Darren says to the brother Jack, he's like, "Be careful, Jack. He kicked some Howler demon's ass." And then he's like, "Oh, good." And then he starts fighting the goons, and he's kind of beating up on the goons. And then they use like cattle prods on him, which apparently a cattle prod or two is all you need to take care of a vampire, because Angel gets immediately fucking KO'd. And then Jack is all like, "Oh, this is good. He's got some attitude. He'll be a crowd pleaser." And so when he wakes up, Angel finds himself inside of a cage. And he's surrounded by a bunch of other cages where there are other demons. And he's got this strange silver bracelet on that's got the Roman numerals XXI, meaning 21, or Beaner. That went over like a turd.
Yeah, I have no idea.
So he tries to start a conversation with the demon next to him, and he's trying in several different languages, of which that demon does not respond. And so about that time, Jack, the brother, the supposed lost brother, comes in, and he's like, "Listen up, slaves." And the cage doors open at this point, and everybody comes out, and he's like, "The only rule around here is stay inside the red," and because there's these red marks everywhere, and because apparently if with these bracelets on, if any of the demons cross the red lines, these red, apparently mystical painted lines, then they will disintegrate.
Yes.
And so Angel immediately just puts his penis. He just puts his wiener across the red line, and it disintegrates. And so now Angel is a woman now. No, but he says, the only way to get out of here is to win 21 matches, basically. So to kill 21 other people. And Angel's like, I'm not going to kill anybody. And Jack's like, well, okay, then you'll be the one killed. And Angel's like, oh, fuck, I hadn't really got me there, Jack.
I didn't think this through.
I don't think I thought this through all the way, Jack. So the next day at Angel Investigations, Wesley is on the phone, apparently talking to Detective Kate Lockley, trying to find out if she has seen or heard from Angel. And you hear him say, well, okay, please let us know if you hear from him. And Cordy's like, well, and he's like, no, she said she hasn't seen or heard from him. And she sounded as though she didn't care. And I'm like, well, Angel's apparently not sharing any information with his employees about the current relationship status with Detective Kate Lockley. So, and Cordy's like, yeah, and our fucking client Darren is just fucking MIA. He's not answering or anything, his phone. And Wes is like, all right, well, I'm going to go to this fucking bookie, Ernie, because that's the last place we know for sure that Angel went. And she's like, yeah, but, you're going to get fucked up. They're badasses and blah, blah, blah. And he's like, that's why I'm taking this. And he pulls something out of a drawer and a whole bunch of shit comes flying out. And he's all clumsily.
How big is that fucking drawer, by the way?
Big. It
Clearly.
apparently has the unending bottom enchant from Harry Potter put on it, because he pulls out like
there's there's a crossbow and a bunch of other stuff
and morning stars.
I'm like, what the?
Yeah. And she's like, oh fuck, Wes is gonna die. So we cut back to the slave quarters, and what's going on there, James?
Sorry. It's mealtime, and Tom Cribb steals food from this other, I'm not going to call them slaves, from this other fighter named Mellish. And Angel is pretty much like, give him his food back. Of course, which earns Angel some threats from Tom Cribb. But Tom backs off when the guards appear with weapons. Mellish confronts Angel after that, telling him that he can fight his own battles, and warns Angel not to rock the boat. And then Jack and Darren show up, and they announce the fight schedule for that evening, and it's Lasovic. I'm sorry. They're talking about the fight schedule for that night, and one of the other demons named Lasovic, who's scheduled to fight, tries to make a run for it, and Angel tries to run after him to stop him, but he crosses the red line and disintegrates into dust, leaving only the bracelet behind. And at that point, Jack chooses Angel to replace him for the evening's fight. And we cut to Wesley, who interrupts Ernie, the bookie, in the act of beating up someone. And Wesley asks where Angel is, and Ernie tells him that Angel gave him money for information, and Wesley refuses to pay and points a miniature crossbow at him, and Ernie draws his gun, and Wesley shoots him in the hand with the crossbow bolt, pinning his hand to the wall and making him drop his gun, which Wesley picks up, and asks him again where Angel is. And then we cut back to the arena, and we see that the woman whose ticket Angel looked at the night before is in the crowd talking to Darren about Angel. And she mentions that she heard he has a soul, and she wonders if that'll give him an advantage in the ring. And what Darren ends up giving her what, even money on Angel if he wins.
Yeah, because she's like, "Will you give me odds?" And he's laughs and he's like, "I'll give you even money." And she's like, "Okay, fine, I'll take that bet."
Right. Then we cut to back in the fighters area, and Mellish offers Angel some information on his opponent, and Angel again reiterates that he's not going to kill anyone. And Mellish asks Angel if he's on drugs, and he's like, and tells him it's not like you have a choice. At that point, Angel,
like, "I'm not on drugs, but do you have any?"
Right, and then he's like, but maybe in the next episode I will be, and it could cause some shit to go sideways.
Yeah, it could.
Right.
Crack,
spoiler
man.
alert.
Crack. Not even once.
Spoiler alert. That's what happens in the next episode.
What?
So Angel and his opponent Baker head into the ring, and they're fighting, except they're not really fighting, because as Tom Cribb notes, Angel isn't fighting back.
And this goes on forever.
It does go on for a while, and I think it's funny too, because Angel's not fighting back, but he's also not like really getting his ass handed to him either.
No, he's just blocking everything.
Right.
And this guy's like, "Fucking really?" And the crowd's like, "I came to see murder, and I'm not seeing any murder. I'm upset."
Right. So then we cut to Cordelia and Wesley showing up at the arena, and what's happening when they show up, Jeremy?
There's a fire. And everyone, the crowd, the fighters, everyone is burning. And Cordy and Wes are like, "Well, there's nothing we can do." So they go back out the door, and they bar the doors shut. And they're like, "The only thing we can do is just let these poor bastards burn to death." And Cordy's like, "Yep. How about we hit the In-N-Out burger and just call it a night?" And Wes is like, I mean, I like Five Guys better, but okay. And they leave skipping and holding hands.
And neither of them considering what's going to happen now that Angel's dead and they're not going to be getting paid. Yeah,
they can't get paid. So they figure they'll just go back to his place, right? Gather up all of his old, antiques and heirlooms and whatnot, hawk them on the black market, and go that route. Plus, he does have some sweet real estate, so you know.
I'm sure that car is worth something.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, sure. So I think they'll be okay. But no, what really happens? They arrive there, and they're in some fancy schmancy clothes, and I must say, Ms. Carpenter's looking mighty fine. So apparently, Cordy was supposed to bring a badge because Wes asks her, "Did you bring the badge?" And Cordy's like, "Oh shit." And Wesley's like, "You had one job, Cordelia, and you can't." And she just straight punches him in the fucking Adam's apple, and he can't even finish his sentence. He's like, "Oh, you!" And then she's like, "Ooh, maybe I hit him too hard. Did I kill him?" No. She's like, "Shit, I forgot it." And they see a couple getting out of their really fancy car and everything. Anyway, so they walk up to them, and she says, "I'm Detective Andrews, and this is my partner, Detective Yelsu." And I was like, "What? Word. Okay.
It's Wesley
And-
backwards.
Oh, I didn't even realize that. So she's like, show him your badge. And he pulls out his like wallet and just flashes it real quick. And she's like, take down their license plate number. And the guy's like, why are you writing down my license plate number? And she's like, may I see your tickets? And looks at their tickets. She's like, are you aware that you're attending an illegal event? And he's like, well, then why are all these other people here if it's illegal? And she's like, what? You think just because people are at a place that it's not illegal? Why are there a bunch of people at a crack house? That's fucking illegal, you dumb shit. And then he's like, fair enough. And he leaves. No. She goes, how does she say? Oh, she says, she's like, well, he's like, I'm friends with the chief of police or whatever. And she's like, well, we're trying to do you a favor because we know that you're friends with the chief. She's like, something's going to happen here tonight. And Wes pops his head and he's like, it's something to do with the man. And she's like, shut the fuck up. And he's like, and the rich guy's like, so you're saying this place is going to be raided tonight? And she's like, I'm not at liberty to say. And he's like, but you're saying we could just go ahead and go home and everything would be cool for us. And she's like, I think that would be a good idea. So they fuck off and boom, Cordy and Wes have scored tickets to get into this death arena. So once they get inside,
I think I'm going to try that approach.
What's that?
I'm gonna go downtown to the Civic Opera House and be like, and just approach a random couple going in and being like, you might like let me see your tickets. I'm with the police and some shit's gonna go down here tonight. You might want to.
In 2024, if you tell somebody that some shit's about to go down, you might get reported.
I might end up tased.
Yeah, and you might end up reported as a terrorist that's going to blow up the opera. So you might want to read that.
Good point.
So yeah, so they spot Darren in the crowd, and they're like, "You son of a bitch!" And he's still holding he's like fucking around, twirling on his finger the bracelet from the demon that jumped across the line and got disintegrated. Wes looks down into the pit and sees Angel, and then Cordy does, and she's like, "Oh my god!" And Wes, of course, is like, "Oh yeah, these demon matches have been around since the Roman Empire, and blah 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 blah." He gives his spiel, and we see Darren set the bracelet down on the railing, and tells the guard to drop a knife into the pit. At which point, Angel's opponent picks it up and runs at him and slices and cuts his arm. And then Angel vamps out, and he's like, "It's stomping time!" And he defends himself, blocks a few more attacks, and then by twisting his arm around and spinning him, he kind of accidentally impales the guy. And so Baker's dead, and Angel wins, and that's his first kill in the arena. So Angel said about 3 different times he's not going to kill anyone. So in his very first match, he kills the guy.
Yes.
So that.
But it was like, it was more like, it was reactionary. Like,
yeah,
the guy.
But I'm saying, why have him say that 50 million times, and then on his very first match, he murders the dude?
Yeah. I have just a question about this scene. How does Wesley know?
Hush up. So no.
How does Wesley know that those bracelets disintegrate people when they cross the red line?
Did they?
Yeah, Wesley told Cordelia that that's what they do.
That's right, because he points to the red line going around the outside of the arena. That he does say that, doesn't he? Well, he did say that these go back to the Roman time. Maybe he's read about that. That's how they're able to control them or something. I don't know.
Okay.
Or just More
I'll buy
blah 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 writing.
I'll buy that for $1.
All right. Oh, I'm only selling it for $0.25.
Oh, I'll give you 15 cents.
Nothing less than a dime.
How about 2 pennies?
A penny and some envelopes. My final offer.
How about a penny, no envelopes, but this?
Sold.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So anyway, Angel goes back to the fighter area, and Jack comes in and says Trepkos and Malish are the next fight, and Angel knows that little squirrely fucker's going to get killed, and he's trying to tell the big badass guy, he's like, "Don't do it. You know, if no one fights, no one dies." And he's like, "I'm giving you another way out." And Trepkos just says, "I'll kill him quickly." And Angel's like, "Oh, okay. All right. That'll work."
No. Okay.
Solves everything. No problem. I'm going to go over here and have a nap.
Have a nap.
No, a nap.
Oh, a nap. I thought you said an app. Like there's fucking mozzarella sticks sitting out over there or something.
An app. Like he's going to get on his iPad in 2000 and...
No, an appetizer.
Oh, okay. I see.
So I said I thought you said an app, and I'm picturing like there's mozzarella sticks and like like
hors d'oeuvres and shit.
Potato skin sitting over there or something. I'm like, what?
The little cheese cubes with a pretzel stuck through them. He's just over there chomping away in vamp face while he's watching his little squirrely dude get murdered. He's like, "Oh, that's a real shame. That's terrible."
He did say he was going to kill him quick though.
So outside the building,
this would have tasted much better if I was still human.
Yeah, I don't know why I'm still vamped out, but goddamn, this isn't bad. Is that Monterey Jack? So anyway,
are these Snyder's pretzels?
No, those are Roll Gold. Oh,
well,
that's a real missed opportunity.
Real miss. They really should have been Snyder's butter pretzels, lightly salted.
He's just got this tiny pretzel, but he's been chewing on it for a while now.
Chewing on it for a long time. I thought the taste just wasn't quite there. I thought the taste wasn't quite there. That explains it. Roll gold. Got it.
Yep. He talks like a meth head now. So where? Oh yeah. So Cordy and Wes are leaving. They're on their way out, and Cordy's like, "Why don't we call the police?" And I immediately Wes is like, "Yeah, I don't think that's a good idea." And I'm like, "Cordy, you've been involved in this world now for several years, going back to the Buffy world. When has calling the police ever been an option for these situations?" You know, like, "Oh my God, the master's going to kill Buffy. Let's call the police." You know. So yeah, and she's like, "Why not?" And he goes, "Because if the cops are swarming this place, the first thing they're going to do is kill all the fucking the fighters." And I'm like,
and he also points out that the cops are probably fucking involved.
Right, yeah, he's like, because on the small chance that the cops aren't involved in this,
because even in 2000, Wesley knew ACAB.
Well, he knew the LAPD was as corrupt as fuck. So anyway, so Cordy's like, "Okay." So she's like, "But we got to get him out of there." And he's like, "Yeah, I realize that, Cordy. But we're going to have to make a key for those cuffs because they're made by like really powerful fucking warlocks." And He's like, and I need one to test on, but getting one's going to be very difficult. And then she produces one, and he's like, unless you grabbed one while I wasn't looking. And she's like, gotcha. So
she does. She does the finger gun. She's like,
yeah, she's like, boom. And he goes, oh, and he falls down dead.
And then he's like, oh, you know where you shot me? And she's like, where?
Shot through the heart.
And then he's like, shot through the heart.
And you're to
blame. You give love a bad name.
So when so Jack we cut back to the thing, and Jack's congratulating Angel on his victory and calling him just a demon like all the others. And fucking, this is so dumb. So dumb. I hate it so much that I'll be honest, I almost shut the fucking episode off.
Wow.
Because they're like, Angel and Jack are like fucking nose to nose. There's just the red line between them, right? And, you know, Jack is just, you know, shitting in his cornflakes and fucking with him and everything. And all of a sudden, Angel just reaches out and grabs Jack by the throat. And there's all this like electricity and shit around Angel's arm. And he's like, oh. And then he pulls Jack across the line and gets him in a chokehold.
Why didn't Angel's arm disintegrate immediately?
Immediately.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, so for the sake of making the hero look even more badass, we're just going to lower the consequences for this one situation. So he's now got Jack on his side over there, and he's got him in a chokehold, and he tells the guards, go get his brother. So they do. And meanwhile, Angel's interrogating Jack, you know, where's the key for this fucking bracelet? And Jack's like, I ate it. It's in my colon. And Angel's like, fuck that. I guess I'm here for life because I ain't going in there. And no, so the brother shows up.
Well, also, I do want to mention, like, Angel's actively trying to get all the other fighters to fucking help him, and they're just sitting there.
Literally just sitting there looking at him like, you're fucking stupid.
Yeah.
And he's just like, I have one of the fucking... I've just shown you that we can cross the red line briefly. So we can run over, slap one of them in the face, and then run back and be back behind. Like run up, give him a Napoleon Dynamite slap, and then run back to behind the red line. So,
a bippity bap, as you might call it. You're a cat owner. You're familiar with bippity baps,
right? There's and then run right behind the red line again. And but no. Meanwhile, they're all just sitting there twiddling their dicks, and the brother shows up, Darren, and he's all like, all right, you know how this goes. You fucking free all of us, and I'll let your brother go. And he's like, we know how this goes. He's your brother. And then Darren pulls out his gun, points it, and says, last chance. And Angel's like, fuck you. And then he shoots through Jack several, I think 3 or 4 shots. Jack dies. Of course, Angel, the bullets went through and hit Angel. Angel's fucked up, and Darren's like, now he's my dead brother. And then the guards go in and cattle prod the shit out of Angel.
I don't know about you, but I was kind of like, fuck.
Yeah. Yes. On one hand, I was like, wow. But on the other hand, I was like, so this guy's just a raging psychopathic nut all of a sudden. Like, I don't know how I feel about it, to be honest.
Well, don't you think you have to be like borderline psychotic to like do something like what he's doing in the first place? Like a demon slave fight club?
I don't know, because I was trying to put myself in that headspace and be like, well, because, and this comes up at like the very end of the episode, like one of the final lines of the episode. But it's like they are demons. Like they're not puppies. They're not how shall we say, innocent bystanders that are being forced to fight.
Yeah.
They are literally hell demons. Not saying that this is something I would get into if demons were, but I'm just saying, you know. So I don't know. I don't know how I feel about the whole fucking thing, but it's like, but he just immediately is like, okay, well, I'll just kill my brother. You know, I don't know. It's like, wow, that fucking escalated. Like that went from like a 6 to an 11 immediately. So anyway, Angel wakes up and he's in an office, pretty nice looking office. And who does he see but the woman that he had ran into earlier when he first showed up to this club? And she's pouring champagne. And he's like, oh, so you're a fight fan. And he looks over at her, kind of her bookshelf and stuff. And he's like, and a lawyer. Like, how do you know she's a lawyer? Just because she has law books? Like there could be people who are like into the law and have a collection of law books, you know? Just saying.
I suppose.
But anyway, he's like, let me guess, you work for Wolfram and Hart. And she's like, no. What's Wolfram and Hart? I work for Stanley Con Artist and Associates. And he's like, oh my God.
I work for Peter Francis Geraci.
God, I hated those fucking commercials. Oh my God. Was he the one that did the bankruptcy tapes? Get the cassette tapes of how to do oh my God. Anyway, Peter Francis Geraci, holy shit. So, but yeah, she's like, yeah, I work for Wolfram and Hart, and she explains that she persuaded Darren to sell Angel's contract to the senior partners of Wolfram and Hart, and she tells him he's free to go. But clearly the deal is, in gratitude for this, he's supposed to leave Wolfram and Hart alone, leave Wolfram and Hart's people alone, like the one he murdered several episodes, I think the first episode.
Yeah.
And to look the other way when they do anything shady or whatever. And she's all like, there are a lot of people in LA that need your help. And she's like, there isn't one reason why we can't work together. And he gets up and takes a drink of his champagne and puts it down next to her and comes up to her and he says, you're right. There's about 1,000. She's like, oh, what?
What?
Yeah. And then he walks up to the guards and they fire up their cattle prods and he's like, relax, take me back. And they're like, you're willingly going back to the slave pits? And he's like, yes, that is what the writers require. And they're like, okay. So we cut back to Angel Investigations and Wes is working on this bracelet. He's got some electrical probes plugged into it and he's looking at a multimeter and he's like, so this thing operates, it's like part medieval lost technology and part magic, and it's got a fuckload of electricity in it. And I'm like, does it really? I don't think so. I don't think it does. I don't think it does at all. And he cuts this wire and he's like, if I can just find the right material to conduct electricity and I touched it in the right spot, it'll unlock it. He touches it and it blows his ass out of the fucking chair. And she picks him up and she's like, are you all right? And he's like, actually, no, I have a severe fucking brain bleed right now. And if you could get me to the hospital, that'd be great. And she's like,
I'm pretty certain my heart stopped for at least 30 seconds.
Yeah. And she's like, well, here is a Tylenol. That's all you get because we don't have Angel does not provide medical coverage. And we're in LA. So a trip to the ER is going to be thousands and thousands of dollars because America. So we cut back.
America, fuck yeah!
Here we come to save the motherfucking day now. Sorry. We cut back to Peter Francis Geraci, and he's still hawking those fucking bankruptcy tapes. And I'm like, hey, Pete, I don't think anyone has cassette player anymore. At the very least, you could upgrade to maybe CDs. Maybe?
No, at some point he upgraded it to a hotline. Now you could just call and listen.
Oh, for what, $1.99 a minute?
Probably.
What a huckster. So
I wonder if he's just like a Midwest. Like, is Peter Francis Geraci nationwide? Does anybody else know what we're talking about right now, or is it just like a Midwest thing?
Is it just a Midwest? Yeah. If anybody else knows, I know my sister will because she lived here most of her life. But
right.
Yeah, like other than my sister, like if anybody out there, like you know what we're talking about, definitely let us know. Because there was this other guy who always had law commercials. That's who I brought up earlier. His name was Stanley Kahn, Kahn, but I always called him Stanley Kahn Artist. He was like an ambulance chaser. Like, if you've been hurt by anything that's ever been on the earth, let me know because I'll sue for you.
Right, and now there's you might know him because I know I've seen his billboards for him driving through Indiana. Up to Michigan, Lerner and Rowe.
Mm-mm.
No, okay.
It might be a northern Indiana thing.
Yeah,
I've never heard of him. Okay, where did I leave? Okay, yeah. So the guards are returning Angel to the fighting pits, and they're all the demons are like, he was free. But he came back. Dude, he's our new hero. And then the song starts playing. I need a hero.
Hero.
I'm holding out for a hero.
Hero till the end of the night. He's got to be strong and he's got to be... Okay, never mind.
And he's got to be a vampire in L.A. So it works out perfectly. So they put the bracelet back on him and Darren's like, well... you're a fool. You should have left because your next fight's against Trepkos. That's the tough, the real strong, tough demon. And he's like, oh, and by the way, all he has to do is kill you and he's free. You'll be his 21st kill. And Angel's like, fuck, I miscalculated this idea. And he's like, is there any way I can go back to the chick with the champagne?
Can I change my answer? Is it too late? Is it? Damn it!
God damn it! So back at Angel Investigations, they're really not at Angel Investigations. They're down in his fucking apartment. This whole time they've been doing, and I'm like, that's kind of odd that whenever he's not around, they'll just be down in his place, just like
they're just chilling in his apartment.
Yeah, and it's like, what if he had stuff down there he didn't want them seeing? You know, what if he had a spooge rag on the couch and they, I mean, I'm just saying.
Also, let's back up a minute. Like, so we were kind of joking about how Angel is like, oh, I completely miscalculated this situation. Can I change my mind? Like, and like we were joking about it, but at the same time, he kind of fucking did. Like, none of these assholes have given him any inclination whatsoever that he's getting through to them in his crusade to fight against the people running this fucking gladiatorial tournament.
And as I have brought up before, they're fucking demons. All of them.
Well, yeah, that too.
This is what he fights against. So you would think he would be like, hey, you know what? It's really shitty what you guys did to me. But here's what we're going to do. I'm not going to kill you guys, but I'm now going to bring like demons and shit to you that I need to get off the streets, and you can put them in here and let's make use of this thing. You know, I mean, they're fucking demons. Like, why is he so wrapped up in saving them? They're fucking demons.
Not all demons are bad.
Yeah, but what was that Wes said in the last episode about the one who they were all females, and he's like, they're normally totally docile and blah 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 blah. But he said, oh God, I can't remember how he said it. Something along the lines, I'm just gonna like paraphrase here, but something along the lines of, while exceedingly rare, these demons are actually not evil. They're, they're docile, blah, 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 blah. So that's
Right.
like, I'm saying chances are most of the demons in this fucking pit hole place right now are ones you probably ain't going to need around, or you're not going to miss,
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know. I guess I'm looking at it too from the perspective that, like, just because they might be evil doesn't give anybody the right to fucking enslave them and make them fight to the death.
Soy boy, tree hugging, fucking lib cuck. So anyway, Wes is like, okay, I think I've got it, but I need something supple enough to thread the locking mechanism, but also strong enough to release the spring and conduct just the right amount of electricity. And Cordelia's immediately like, oh yeah, horsehair. And Wesley's like, I'm sorry, are you having a stroke? And Cordelia's like, no, from my Palomino Keanu. I took hair from him before the IRS took him away. And so she opens up this little locket, and she's got hair, and she gives him a hair. And he's like, okay, here we go. Stand back. And he pops it in there, and it's perfect. It ding opens up the. And
it makes that exact sound too. Ding.
Yeah, it's like ding. And he's like, he's just dripping. But I'm like, okay, so now they have to go all the way to this place, and they gotta like eat like this all the way there, holding this single horsehair because this is the magic fucking key. Anyway, we cut back to the arena, and it's the next night. Apparently, it's the next night of fights, and Lila is making a bet, a $10,000 bet on Trepkos. So she's given up all faith in Angel, and then, Angel and Trepkos come out into the ring, and Angel's like, he's like, you're always going to be a slave, even if the cuff comes off, and, if you're not willing to do what's right. And Trepkos is all like, I'll kill you quickly. And Angel's like, I won't let you. And Trepkos is like, oh, shit. And so the fight begins, and once again, all Angel's doing is defending himself. I'm like, why not? You can fight back. Just don't fucking kill the guy, Like, just because you're not going to kill the guy doesn't mean you can't fight back and, like, whatever. So, but this time he's getting the shit fucking stomped out of him because this guy's way stronger and a way better fighter. And so Angel's getting pretty fucked up. And we cut to Cordy down in the bowels of this place, and she distracts a guard by, asking about the ladies' room, and Wes slides by the guard, and he ends up there at the slave quarters, and he's like, hey, you come here. And it's the green enemy mine, Louis Gossett Jr. demon that has always disliked Angel. And he's like, come here. And he comes up there.
Tom Cribbs.
It's Tom Cribbs. And he's like, listen here, Tom Cribbs. Where's Angel? I need Angel. And he's like, oh, yeah, he's dead. and he says it just like that. And Wes is like, what? And he's like, well, he will be in about 20 seconds. He's fighting Trepkos out there right now. And Wes pulls out this metal little bar that he's apparently taped the horsehair onto. And he's like, I have a key here. And if you help me get my friend, I'll set you all free. And Tom Cribbs uses his long fucking tongue and it shoots out and grabs it and pulls it back. And Wes is like, wait, fuck me. Fuck. Another Wes move. And so he immediately unlocks himself. And so we cut back out to the pit and they're still fighting. And at this point, Darren tells one of the guards to throw down these stabs, which he does, these wooden staffs. And so then they start having a wooden staff fight. And at one point, Trepkos' staff breaks and he uses the sharp end and he plunges it into Angel's fucking liver. And Angel goes, ow! Fucking really? And he's like, and Trepkos is like, yeah, bro. But Angel fucking breaks more of it with his forearm, swings around, takes the dude's legs out, pulls it out of himself, and then puts it to the guy's neck, to his throat. So Angel's won. And of course the crowd's like, killing blow, another awkward chant. And Angel won't do it, so he throws the thing down. And Trepkos, instead of being an honorable man, gets up and immediately attacks Angel again from behind and beats the ever-loving dog shit out of him. And he's got him and he's pulled back and he's gonna apparently give the killing blow, even though it's just a fist. And the crowd's chanting for him to do it. But then he doesn't do it. And so Darren's like, okay, get both of them to the guards. And at this point, Tom Cribb, or whatever his name was, Tom Thumb, has unhooked all the other demons' wrist thingies, and they all come pouring into the arena, and a big fucking fracas ensues, and guards are getting fucked up and everything. Wesley's got Darren at gunpoint. Darren grabs his arm. They fight. Darren gets the fucking gun, is pointed at Wes, is about to blow him away, but fucking Cordy runs up and knocks his ass over the railing and down into the pit. And at that point, Tom Thumb unlocks Angel, and he's like, come on, loser. And they go over to Darren, and they grab a hold of Darren, and they put a bracelet around his wrist, and then they throw him over to Trepkos, the strong guy, and they're like, here you go, catch. And then he catches him and fucking flings him into the air, over the red line. Boof. Darren disintegrates. And they try to help. They're helping Angel out of the arena. He's all and Trepkos was like, it was a good fight. And Angel's like, I could have taken you. And I'm like, you won.
Right, you won.
You won. He attacked you from behind like a bitch. Anyway, so then we cut outside of the place, and Cordy and Wes are still helping Angel limp along, and he's like, thanks for finding me before it was too late. And Cordy's like, well, Wes is the one that figured out how to make the key. And Wes says, well, she was the one who figured out how to make the key work. And Angel's like, well, you both did good, and we did good work here. And that's when they look up and they see all the demons from the pit flying, running down the street. And Cordy's like, well, we did release a bunch of demons. And finally I was like, hello, and fucking credits roll, and that's the episode. So there's that.
There is that.
That has happened.
That did happen. So the character of Tom Cribb is actually based on bare knuckle brawler Tom Cribb, who was England's most celebrated bare knuckle brawler in the mid 1800s.
Oh, well, good for him.
Would you like to guess our body count for this episode?
It'll just be a guess, but I'm going to say 3.
6.
Okay, not even close.
Our music this week, Morphic Field with Consciousness, Aware of You, and Christoph Beck and Robert J. Krall with our original score, as always. Mr. Jeremy.
Yes, sir.
Would you please tell me and our audience how many Demon Fight Clubs on a scale of 1 to 5 you give this episode, and provide your final thoughts?
Well, as we've discussed before, we have 2.5 is a right down the middle score for our scale. I'm going to give it a 2. So here's in this same year, the year 2000, when this episode came out, there was an identical episode to this released in Star Trek Voyager. Same exact plot line, for the most part. 7 of 9 is kidnapped to go and fight in this arena of powerful aliens. Blah, blah. The Rock was in it. The wrestler, The Rock.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I don't know who copied off of who, but somebody did. And I don't know. I don't feel like this one was done particularly well. The whole plot to quote unquote kidnap Angel was utterly fucking ridiculous and convoluted and way more complicated than it needed to be. I mean, they could have just followed him at night out to his car with these thug dudes and like fucking cattle prodded him, because that worked every fucking time, and just took him off. But whatever. It's one of those episodes I feel like they kind of like had, like, I've always felt this way, and I'm sure I'm right, that like every show has got some written episodes that are just kind of in the bag, in the tank, so to speak, and like they can just be like, well, let's just do one of those episodes this particular week. You know, we're having issues with whatever. Let's just pull one of those out and do this episode and do one of them. And I don't know. It was very uninspired, very kind of silly, and I mean, we got to meet Lila, who's going to become a pretty big fucking part of this show.
Right.
And it kind of alludes. We finally get back into the Wolfram and Hart thing, which, I mean, spoiler alert, Wolfram and Hart is kind of like the overarching big bad of the whole series. So we're kind of bringing them back into the fold. But other than those two things, I just felt like the show was just kind of meh. Like I say, just kind of a 2. The brother, the main brother, the Darren guy, his whole thing just seemed very unearned and very just, well, I'm just going to murder my brother now to be, because I'm just, you know, to make me that scary, which he never is scary. And I don't know. It's just one of those episodes that it's not horrible, but it's certainly not memorable, and it's not, definitely doesn't go on the list of must see. So yeah, it's a 2, and I'll leave it at that. So James.
Yes, sir.
Why don't you tell me and our audience, on a scale of 1 to 5, how many magical horsehair keys do you give this episode? And tell us your final thoughts.
I am giving this episode 5 horsehair keys. No, I'm kidding.
I was going to be like, what?
No. As has been the case, as we've discussed, unfortunately, with this first season of Angel. I remembered liking this episode a lot more than what it turns out I do. When I realized that The Ring was this week's episode, I got kind of excited. I was like, "Oh, this is a good episode. I really liked this episode." Yada yada yada. And then when it was over, I was like, what? Like, I'm like, I was either wrong back then when I when I liked it, or I didn't like it back then and had just like nostalgia clouded myself into believing that I liked it.
I think it's probably that we were younger, and I think we were at that age. I think you're more easily satisfied with things, especially if it's a show that you like.
Sure.
You know, and that's what I think it was. Because I'm the same way.
But yeah, it just wasn't. I'm gonna be honest with you. I had to rewind the last 20 minutes because I fell asleep.
That's happened to me.
I mean, so yeah, it just wasn't a very good episode. I agree with you. I think it was a in the bag episode. I think, I honestly, I think it's entirely possible, because this happens a lot. These situations, like you just said, where it seems like shows have the exact same episodes. And I think what happens is that generic spec scripts float around studios.
Sure.
And there's times where, like you said, things aren't coming together the way, or they need an extra episode to meet episode counts or whatever, and they're like, here's this generic spec script, tailor it to your show, and we'll make that.
Yeah.
So
what's your star rating then?
I said 2.
Oh, I don't think you ever did. You said 5, and you said, "Oh, I'm just kidding," and then you went into your.
I'm sorry. I thought I said I'm gonna give it a 2 after I said 5. Yeah, it's a 2. It's just not. It's not a terrible episode. It's just not a great episode.
Yeah, it's definitely not Pieces of You or whatever the fuck that episode was called.
Yeah. It's not one of those,
but it's also
it's
kind
not
of like
Sense and Sensitivity.
Yeah, it's kind of a snoozer, you know.
Yeah,
because those episodes like legitimately piss you off. They're so bad, and this episode's more of one of those like, oh, I'm falling asleep. What? Huh?
Right. I'm just kind of indifferent towards it. Like, literally, the only good thing it has. I mean, I shouldn't say the only good thing, because it's not, like I said, it's not a bad episode. So it's not like there's anything particularly bad in it. But the only outstanding thing in this episode is the fact that it introduces Lila.
And induce some labor.
It introduces Lila Morgan to the universe, the show. So, and like, spoiler alert, she becomes a pretty kind of like Lindsay. Like, her and Lindsay kind of be.
Who?
Lindsay.
Oh, you mean that guy we haven't seen since the?
Yeah, the guy we haven't seen.
Pilot episode.
In like, no, we've seen him since then, but it's been a while.
Did we?
Yeah. But it's been a while. So yeah. It's been a while. So yeah, I mean, that's really the only outstanding thing about this episode, is that it introduces Lila. Otherwise, it's kind of like, take it or leave it. If someone was like, "Hey, let's watch this episode of Angel," I wouldn't be like, "Fuck no, get away from me with that bullshit."
If it's Sense and Sensitivity, I'm punching the person who suggests it.
Right.
Hey, let's watch Sense and Sensitivity, and then I immediately fucking just punch them right in the temple.
You know what we should watch? That episode of Angel, Sense and Sensitivity. How about you get the fuck out of my house?
Yeah. How about you fuck off and don't ever fucking come back around here again?
Right. I'm.
I
You're
don't
dead
want to
to
know
me.
you.
You're dead to me.
I don't want to know you.
I don't want to know you. Yeah. So yeah, it's a 2. It's just kind of a meh episode. It's there. It's not. It's not. It's not hurtful. It doesn't hurt me.
Yeah.
But it doesn't make me happy either.
Yeah.
So.
It makes me a little flaccid.
Well, you know. Okay.
That could also just be age. I don't know.
Right. I mean, you should look into Blue Chew.
All right. James, you listen to too many podcasts, by the way, if you're kicking up some.
Dude, Ric Flair is hawking ED medicine on late night television.
Dude, Ric Flair would hawk his mother's underwear if he thought it would make him a nickel.
You know he's got his own energy drink now?
Yes, he has become a parody of himself to the point that I almost don't even. It's just sad. It really is sad. He's gone through so many fortunes, so many.
Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying he has wasted so much money that now at the ripe old age of damn near 80, he's out here hawking fucking dick pills and it's
energy drinks.
He's just such
maybe stop drinking all the energy drinks and you can get it up.
Yeah, maybe just stop. Just stop.
Yeah. Rick. Just stop.
Yeah.
I was talking to someone about it and I was like, it's sad to me that this dude has so poorly managed his life that this is where he's at, because we're talking about someone, and I know we're off in the weeds here right now, but we're talking about someone who was at one time one of the biggest names in an entire industry. And I'm talking pre-WWE even. Like before WWE
at that time.
Right. Like when territories still existed.
Right. He was the king of territories.
He was the biggest thing going. And then when wrestling, love him or hate him, I think most people are leaning in the hate him direction these days.
Well, he's a clear fucking predatory piece of fucking dog shit. So fuck him.
When Vincent Kennedy McMahon Jr. United all the territories under the WWF banner, Flair was still, he proceeded to still be one of the biggest names in the industry for decades. Well,
here's the thing. This is the real sadness is. It wasn't a fortune. He has lost and regained his fortune like 3 times.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So like he's like imagine being one of the biggest names in an industry for decades and just making money, like you said, fortune after fortune after fortune, and continuously blowing it because you manage yourself so fucking poorly.
Well, he used to have a line that he said in some of his promos, which back then it just makes you sound cool, but now you're like, yeah, that explains some things. And he used to say, I've spent more money this week on spilled liquor than you make in a year. And it's like, yeah.
I remember those. I remember him saying that.
That's why you are now on late night TV selling dick pills and shitty energy drinks.
Right. So, and that's been Wrestling Talk with James and Jeremy.
So, where do we go from? James, why don't you tell the fine listening audience just how they can reach us on the worldwide interwebs?
Reach out and touch me.
Reach out and touch me.
They can go to BuffyRevisited.com, and what they're going to find there is is links, Jeremy. They're going to find links. They're going to find our email address,
Like
which
sausage
is
links?
sausage links. Yes. Yes. Brown and serves. Yeah. Some Jimmy Dean. Some Jimmy Dean. Yeah.
Ooh, my nipple got erect immediately.
Yeah.
Was
I
like,
bet you have. I bet you have big Jimmy Dean sausage nipples.
Actually, I don't. I have really small nipples. Yeah, they're really tiny.
Oh, okay. They're gonna find links. They're gonna find our email address, BuffyRevisited@gmail.com. They're gonna find a link to our merch store where they can go and they can buy Slade, the Buffy Revisited merchandise.
The Buffy Reverse
with our old logo. Hopefully, maybe one day with our new logo. Who knows?
Maybe. Who knows?
They can go to our Facebook and they're going to find posts. They're going to find posts.
James heard a poltergeist there, guys.
My Google Home went off upstairs. It was she was like, I can't open the Facebook app right now. I'm like, what? I didn't ask you to. What?
I know. That freaky Alexa bitch is all the time jumping in on my conversations, and I'm like, no one's talking to you, bitch.
If they go to our Facebook page, they're going to find posts about these episodes. And maybe one day I'll start posting about other things like I keep planning on, but I'm lazy, so probably not. And
that's why it takes till like Wednesday or Thursday before the video version of the podcast comes out.
Yeah. And they can leave comments in the comment section there on those posts. And Jeremy, do you know what they can leave comments about?
How pretty I am?
Sure. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Tell us how pretty Jeremy is. They can leave us
pretty princess, my friend.
Okay. They can leave us comments about the episode, about the Buffyverse in general, about the podcast in general, about me, about you, about their problems, their trials and tribulations, and tribbles. I really want to hear about tribbles. Okay.
Well, you do, because you have been pushing that tribble thing for a hot minute now.
This is the 4th episode now that I've brought it up, and I want to hear your stories about tribbles. Okay. I want to see pictures of your tribbles. I want to hear stories about your tribbles. Okay. Because everybody knows, Jeremy, that the trouble with tribbles is that tribbles are trouble. Correct?
True enough.
Okay. And recipes. Please send recipes. They'll find a link to our YouTube. And on that YouTube, Jeremy, oh my God, dude, you're not going to believe this. Do you know what they're going to find on the YouTube?
This very episode?
The video version of this very episode that they're listening to right now.
Yeah, it's pretty simple. I mean, I don't know why it stumps you so much.
Explain it to me then. How is that even possible?
Do you believe in magic?
I believe it's a kind of magic. It's a kind of magic. And they can leave comments there as well. The same comments about the episode, about the Buffyverse in general, about me, about you, about their problems, trials, tribulations, and of course, fucking tribbles. People, tribbles. That's what I really want to hear about. And recipes, tribbles and recipes. Send them to me, please. Please. I'll give you my phone number. You can text me directly.
He probably will.
And that's all. That's all I've got.
All
Can you imagine anybody who isn't familiar with Star Trek? They're like, what the fuck is a fucking tribble?
Yeah. Probably most everyone listening.
Maybe, yeah.
That's why we haven't heard anything about any tribbles. So thanks everybody for joining us this week. Next week, we're going to be diving back into Buffy, season 4, episode 17, Superstar. Yep. That's exactly it. It will be starring Molly Shannon. will be coming in reprising SNL character. Or is that not what happens?
That's exactly what happens.
Okay. Well, everybody's got that to look forward to then for next week.
Yeah. Who doesn't love Molly Shannon?
Right.
She's funny.
All right then. Well, with that being said, I'm one of your hosts. I'm Jeremy.
I'm your other host, James.
Ta-ta.